Hey everybody, this is Sherry. Here I am with my Bernina Artista 730 and going over the Mastering Your Bernina workbook. Here's the workbook. I had it copied. This is basically from an owner's class, and it's from 2006, which the machine's from about 2006. So, it's a wonderful computerized machine, has so many functions, and just going through them all. This is day 7. We're going to work on top stitching. We're also going to work on basting. And the first stitch, the top stitching, has used your number 10 presser foot. Love this presser foot. There's a bunch of information about uses for this presser foot in the features book, if you have that. That's great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this on the machine, and we'll just go ahead and get started here. I'm going to put this fabric under the, let me just straighten up my thread here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a top stitch, but we're also going to employ the long stitch function. If you look at the screen, you see these two stitches, and you see it's yellow, but when you press it, it's going to turn blue. That means it's active now. So what the long stitch does is it basically sews every second stitch with the longest stitch possible. Okay, so if I'm set at 2.5, so the first stitch would be like 2.5, and like the second stitch would be 5. So I'm going to so I've got the long stitch employed, and we're going to do a triple straight stitch, and it automatically went to where I was last time, which was this machine remembers what you had just done, and so it's like, oh, you want to do this again? Well, yeah, I kind of do. Thank you, Bernina. So I'm going to put the guide right in the ditch. That's called like stitching in the ditch, right here, the seam line. I had sewed this together with a 5/8 inch. I did put some interfacing on that because I noticed the first time I did it, it puckered. Because this triple straight stitch, you know, goes back and forth, you do need your fabric to be stabilized. Okay, and let's do needle down. And we've got the needle 2 positions to the left. So we're going to do the triple straight stitch at 5. And here we go. And the triple straight stitch is a beautiful stitch for decorative sewing. Okay, if you look at jeans, you know how they have that thick stitch. This triple straight stitch definitely emulates that stitch. And this is 5 millimeters, so this is the longest it'll allow for your triple straight stitch, which actually we should be at 10 millimeters. Okay, so let's take a look, because we're doing the long stitch function. So here's our triple straight stitch. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Beautiful. And here's the back side. So there you go with the triple straight stitch. I kept the 30 weight thread in there per the recommendations. So now we're going to switch to the basting function, and that would be number 21. So here's 21. So the basting function is preset at 2 millimeters. So I'm going to do 2 millimeters basting. Let's move the needle a few spaces so that it's on the right hand side of this seam. Alright, so we'll start off with a 2 millimeter, and then we'll bump it up to baste at the maximum, which is 5 millimeter, and we still have the long stitch function employed. And so you can really see the long stitch function here because it's kind of hopping, it's like skipping a stitch. I would say we're about halfway through. Let's go to 5 millimeters. We're going to dial up the stitch length all the way to 5. Now basting is not a permanent stitch. I haven't really done a ton of basting, but it's there for you, and you can pull the thread out. That's what's nice about basting. So here's the 2 millimeter length, which actually in the back, and here you have the 5 millimeter length, which is huge. pulling at it so you can see how long it is. So there it is. And I just wanted to give you some references if you have your manual for the Artista 730. If you look at page 40, it covers the long stitch function. And oops, what's going on here? And then page 48 goes over the triple straight stitch. And then on page 49, it talks about the basting stitch. So there it is, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.